The following presentation is brought to you by the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture.
My name is Tanya Ernst. I am here at the University of Arkansas's Fruit Research Station located in Clarksville, Arkansas. Today I will discuss winter pruning practices for blackberry production in the southeastern United States. The main reason to prune is to remove dead or diseased canes and open the canopy for better air and light penetration. If done correctly, pruning can increase fruit size and yields the following year while reducing disease pressure. The best time of winter to prune blackberries is January or February when canes are dormant and before buds start to swell. Before we talk about how to prune, it is important to understand how a blackberry grows. Blackberries are a perennial plant with two cane types. First-year canes, called primicanes, emerge in the late spring and grow throughout the summer. These canes overwinter. Their second year, they are considered floricanes. Traditionally, flowers and fruit were only produced on floricanes, or second-year canes. Varieties have now been developed here in Arkansas that flower and fruit on first-year canes. These varieties are called Primicane-Fruiting varieties. In addition to producing on first-year canes, primicanes also fruit in late August or early September, whereas floricane varieties fruit in early June or July here in the southeast. Pruning techniques differ for primicane and floricane-fruiting varieties of blackberries. For floricane varieties, the goal is to remove dead floricanes and clean up last year's primicanes, which will be this year's fruiting floricanes. On primicane varieties, there are several pruning options depending on how you want to manage your crop. This video will focus on pruning floricane varieties. Tools you will need are pruners and loppers, and if you are pruning a thorny variety, you will also need leather gloves. Make sure your loppers and pruners are sharpened and well maintained in order to get clean cuts. So blackberry pruning actually begins in the late spring to early summer with the tipping of the new season's primicanes. So what I have right here, this is a floricane from last year. You can see where we've tipped it right here. And the reason we tip it, if you look closely at this, we've got some of these side branches coming off. They're called lateral branches. And if you look at the lateral branches we've got on here, you can see the remnants of flower and fruit production on these lateral branches. So by tipping it, it forces the cane to produce more of these lateral branches. By producing the lateral branches, you increase your potential for fruit production the following year. If you wait till winter to do this tipping, you won't get as many lateral branch production and you might have reduced yields the following year. Dead floricanes can be removed any time after harvest in the late summer or early fall to remove potential disease inoculum. If this was not done, begin pruning by removing all dead floricanes. If you look down here, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove all the dead floricanes from last year. So if you look here, you can see the difference between the dead ones. They're relatively brittle, they're lighter in color, whereas these live floricanes that'll be the ones flowering and producing the following year, they kind of have this red color to them. So it's pretty easy to tell the difference between the ones you're going to be cutting out and the ones that you're going to be removing. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove anything that is already dead. You want to cut them as close to the ground as you can get. Again, it's pretty easy to tell the difference between these dead ones and the live ones. There's a color variation between them. Once you've cut them, I'm just going to pull them out and toss them into the row. So once you have all of the dead removed, it gives you kind of a better idea of what you have left here to work with. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to remove anything that is diseased or has insect problems or is too weak to hold a crop load. You're going to take all those out because they're not going to do you a whole lot of good. So like this one right here, it's not even meeting the top wire. I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. This one's pretty weak, it's growing the wrong direction. I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. This one back here, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of growing the wrong way. There's some discoloration down there. I think it could be something's inside it. I can find a good angle here. These two back here have the same issue. I'm going to take out these smaller ones as well. They're going to just cause some shading issues or some potential for disease buildup down there, and they're not going to produce much at all. So I'm just going to pop those off as well. So this is what we've got left. It looks like we have about 8 canes left. The general rule for how many floricanes to leave is between 3 and 6. What determines how many you leave is going to be the density of the canopy up here. If you have too dense of a canopy, too many lateral branches, you're going to get shading down there. It's going to slow your ripening. It could reduce yields because you're shading everything below it. You could also, it blocks air movement and it blocks sunlight penetration, so you can get buildup of disease pressure in there. You can also, if it's too shady, you can create really nice microclimates for insects. So you kind of want to avoid that. So you don't want it too dense up here, but if you cut out too much, then you're going to reduce your yields. So you got to kind of find a balance between those two. So the first thing I'm going to do, we want 3 to 6. So I'm going to cut these down until we have 6 in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove out the smallest ones right now, just the ones that are weaker or the ones that are growing in the wrong way. So I'm just going to pull out 2 extra ones. So this one right here, it wasn't tipped. If you look up here, there's no lateral branches on it. We're not going to get much yield off of it. It's a lot smaller than all of the others. So I'm going to take that one out. And we got this one right here that's grown completely the wrong way. All right, so that's kind of what we got left right there. The next thing we're going to do, we talked about tipping the priming canes. Again, these ones weren't tipped really well because they were under a different study. So we don't have a lot of lateral production on these. But what we're going to do is all of these lateral canes that we've got growing on here, we've got some that are dead right here. We're going to go ahead and remove anything that is dead. It's not going to do us a whole lot of good. And then all of these lateral branches, the ones that we have, we're going to tip them back to about 12 to 18 inches. The tipping can actually be done at the same time you're tipping the priming canes in the late spring or early summer. As soon as they reach that 12 to 18 inches, you can go ahead and tip them at that point too. It kind of makes it a little easier when you're coming back through it this time. So the last thing to do is to secure your blackberries to the wire. There's a couple of options that are available. In the past, we've used a lot of this tie like this. It just stretches right around there, so it doesn't do a whole lot of damage to the blackberries when you use it. More recently, we've started using these little clips. They work really simply. They just clip right onto the wire. You wrap them around the blackberry and it clips on the other side. So those are just a couple options that you can use when you're tying these, when you're securing them to your wire. So we're just going to pull this back. Again, you want about 50% of the canes on one side as on the other. Bring this one over there. These clips hold pretty well. Oh. Alright, so I realized I missed a lateral branch right here. I'm tipping. And that's what your blackberry should look like when you're done pruning.
Remember to remove pruned canes from the field. They are a source of disease and insect inoculation for the next year. This is also a good time of year to inspect the trellising system for wear and tear. It is wise to do this before you tie anything to the wire. I hope you now have a better idea of how to prune your blackberries in winter. Thanks for watching.
For more information on how to grow blackberries, visit our website www.uaex.edu/blackberryschool.